which perfectly aligns with the National Mission on Interdisciplinary Cyber Physical System being launched in 2018 and being implemented by Department of Science and Technology. Under this mission, 25 technology innovation hubs have been established all across the country, and these hubs are advancing research and technology development in the area of cyber physical systems and frontier domains like artificial intelligence, machine learning, robotics, cyber security, AR and VR, advanced communication system, and many more. Together, these hubs are driving a powerful convergence of science, innovation, and entrepreneurship, and creating an ecosystem where cutting-edge research translates into real-world impact. In the year 2024, month of July, the NMICPS mission took a bold initiative in the area of generative AI by launching a major project called BharatGen, the first government-funded multimodal and multilingual large language model supported in a consortia mode of 7 academic institutes led by IIT Bombay. BharatGen is designed to serve India's linguistic and cultural diversity by integrating text, speech, and image to build AI solutions across 22 Indian languages. It represents our shared vision to make technology inclusive, accessible, and rooted in India's realistic needs. Over the past year, BharatGen has made a remarkable progress in building foundational models and domain-specific applications thanks to the team of BharatGen and the academia efforts. Today's panel discussion on Towards an AI-augmented future, the promise of BharatGen carries that vision forward to explore how India's leadership in AI can translate into social and economic value for millions. Now, I would like to invite our distinguished panelists and dignitaries to kindly join us on the dais for the panel discussion. This panel discussion will be moderated by Dr. Ekta Kapoor, Scientist G and Head, Frontier and Futuristic Technology Division at Department of Science and Technology. I welcome you, ma'am, on the dais, please. And ma'am is also leading the NMICPS mission in the Department of Science and Technology. So, I now welcome our dignitaries and panelists on the dais to join us for the panel discussion. The first panelist is Colonel Amit Mehna, Director AI, Directorate General of Information Systems, Indian Army. Please welcome him a huge round of applause. Shri Ankit Bose, Head, NESCOM AI. Please welcome him. Shri Rishi Bal, Executive Vice President, BharatGen. Shri Jay Krishna Hari, IBM India. Professor Ravi Kiran, Principal Investigator, Vision Technologies, BharatGen. And Professor Arnab Bhattacharya, Principal Investigator, Legal Domain, BharatGen. Please welcome everyone with a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Over the next 40 minutes, we will hear from some of the leading voices driving India's AI transformation from defense, industry, and academia. With this, I hand over to Dr. Ekta Kapoor for moderating this session. Welcome, ma'am.
A very good afternoon and a very warm welcome to everyone on this panel, which is rightly titled as Towards an AI-Augmented Future, the Promise of BharatGen. As already elaborated by Ms. Rajni, my colleague, BharatGen represents India's commitment to building a sovereign, trustworthy, and production-grade Gen AI platform aligned with national priorities. Our panel here today at the India Mobile Congress 2025 brings together perspectives from academia, industry, the AI ecosystem, and strategic domains. We'll be discussing on the platform's architecture and ecosystem here, the opportunities across key sectors, the strategic and security needs, and skilling and workforce development. The main goal of the discussion today would be to understand how this BharatGen can shape India's AI-augmented future for citizens, institutions, and industry. Before we begin the discussion, let me introduce our distinguished panelists. Mr. Rishi Bal is the Executive Vice President of Bharat Gen. He leads Bharat Gen, developing foundational AI models while driving billion-dollar innovations across AI, SaaS, and online businesses. With experience at Google, Microsoft, startups, and government, he is also mentoring students and organizations in building inclusive, diverse AI solutions. Welcome, Mr. Rishi. We have Mr. Jay Krishnan Hari, who's the Strategy and Business Development Executive at IBM. Mr. Jay drives strategy and business development for IBM Research in India. With over 23 years of industry experience, he has been actively involved in taking many of first-of-its-kind innovations from R&D to market, working with partners and clients across areas of AI, quantum computing, and hybrid cloud solutions. He holds 3 patents with a background in business management and engineering. Mr. Jay is also IBM Quantum Ambassador for India. Welcome, Mr. Jay. Let me take the privilege of introducing Colonel Amit Mehna, who's a Vishisht Seva Medal awardee with 28 years in the Corps of Signals. He has led large-scale network operations and AI initiatives in the Indian Army. As head of the Army's AI task force, Colonel Mehna has established the AI Incubation Center in Bengaluru, driving strategic innovation and technological transformation. Welcome, Colonel Mehna. Mr. Ankit Bose is the head of NASSCOM AI. Ankit ji, with over 20 years of global experience in engineering, strategy, and innovation, leads the AI vertical at NASSCOM, driving India's AI adoption and responsible tech practices. As a computer science graduate from Mumbai University and AI/ML postgrad from UT Austin, he is known as the futuristic passionate about technology and yoga. Welcome, welcome, sir. We have with us Professor Santosh Ravikiran, the principal investigator of Bharat Gen, and he's currently an associate professor at IIIT Hyderabad, leading the computer vision and multimodal AI, heading vision for Bharat Gen and mobility projects at iHub Data, which is also one of the technology innovation hubs at IIIT Hyderabad. Dr. Ravi Kiran is a PhD from IISc Bangalore and former US R&D researcher. He also advises Norway's Mishmash Center for AI with award-winning work in vision, language, and generative AI. Welcome, sir. Welcome. Professor Arnab Bhattacharya is the principal investigator again for Bharat Gen. He is a professor at Department of Computer Science and Engineering at IIT Kanpur. Professor Bhattacharya, since 2007, he has been working with IIT Kanpur and he holds a PhD degree from UC Santa Barbara. He has published more than 75 papers and 3 patents in AI, NLP, and data systems. He is the author of 2 books and founding coordinator of IIT Kanpur's Center for IKS Studies and has chaired major conferences in the year 2024. So welcome, sir. Welcome. Moving ahead, it's again my proud privilege to start the panel discussion. We'll start with the first question, which I would like to put jointly to Mr. Rishi and Ankit Boseji. So, Bharat Gen is described as a national commitment to sovereign, trustworthy Gen AI. From an industry and ecosystem perspective, Rishiji, what excites you the most about its promise and what signals would show early success of Bharat Gen?
First of all, thank you so much for having all of us over here. It's indeed an honor to be here. For Bharat Gen, we really think about 3 important pillars at the heart of our work. We think a lot about sovereignty. So the idea that India will always have supply security and guaranteed access to to LLMs and AI going forward, as well as the security and safety of knowing exactly what is going inside the LLMs. So when you deploy these LLMs and AI inside sensitive applications, it's super important to know what's also inside the AI. The second thing that we think a lot about is Indianness, which is how do we capture our language, culture, and our perspectives, right? So that our perspectives on geopolitics, on history, on culture are accurately reflected in the AI that is created in India and for India. And the third thing that we think a lot about is accessibility, right? And accessibility has many legs. One important part of accessibility is ensuring that AI is available where it is needed the most. So how do we make investments in sectors that would otherwise be underserved, like agriculture or Ayurveda, and ensure that we actually have AI that can serve those sectors? We also think a lot about making sure that this is available to all in the form of modalities. So voice is an important modality. If you don't have voice, people can't actually access the AI because it requires a lot of high functional level of literacy to be able to use it. And then the third thing is cost. So we think a lot about how to bake cost in. Cost is not an afterthought in India, right? You have to bake it in. You have to be targeting 1/10 the cost that you would serve elsewhere in order to make this AI accessible. So when we think about what are the early proof points, I think having AI and then applications started to be built on top of the work that we're doing is super important. And so an example of this is we've released early versions of an agriculture AI. We call it Agri-Param. That's based on our base 3 billion parameter model. We've also released an early version of an Ayurveda Param. So we call that Ayur-Param. And we're actually seeing a lot of early interest from industry, hospitals, caregivers who are interested in saying, hey, we finally have an LLM that can understand our Ayurveda practice as an example, and we want to be able to integrate it in. So now we're seeing a lot of interest coming in from people who are saying, hey, can I have a user-facing chatbot? Can I have something that actually works with my hospital patient management systems? And those are some of the early signs in terms of the interest and the ability to serve India in ways that is different from what others may be doing.
Thank you. So Rishiji and Ektaji, thank you for having me here. I think it's an honor to be here. I think the question is very pertinent, right? And I think we have to see from three angles. The first angle is, growth of the nation. Right? Where does India's next, growth lies? Right? If we see the top, global big companies, at the top 10, India doesn't have even one, right? If, in terms of $1 billion, right? Top 20, zero. Top 50, zero. Top 100, one or two, right? So you have companies like NVIDIA, companies like OpenAI, companies like Microsoft being in the top 10. We don't have even one, right? So how can BharatJan as a project can catalyze some of that, right? Again, I'm not saying it will happen overnight, but as we go ahead, I think it has potential to catalyze some of these big companies which can really scale and can be the growth leaders for country, right? That's one. The second is safety and sovereignty, right? We all are aware how the current geopolitics is there, right? So if you just go back 6 months back or 7 months back, there was an executive order saying that US will limit the number of chips given to any country, and the quota given for India was 50,000. Any guesses how many GPUs a company like Grok has? Any guesses? 3 lakh. A company like Grok, right, which is Elon Musk's company, they have 3 lakh, and he wants to reach 1 million, right? And he wants to essentially buy all chips which are available. That's what his vision is. Similarly, Meta, others, and the whole country, like which has at least 25% or 30% of the world population, we were limited to 50,000, right? Projects like BharatJan can really remove us from that bondage, right? I think that's the second thing, right? At the same time, if I see the next battle, which definitely our dear Colonel will speak, but again, will be fought on deep tech and AI, right? What we we have done in Sindoor, I think, was phenomenal, right? I think definitely he will talk about that. But again, the next battle is in the digital world, and deep tech and AI is a major part of that. So we have to be ready for that, right? We cannot, probably be, lethargic on that. We have to lead the way, right? That's the second thing. The third is very important, right? How is the AI and the deep tech and new technologies, impacting Jan Manas of every Indian, right? Can it go probably someplace in Assam and help a local villager, decode his health ailment, right? A pregnant woman sitting there doesn't know what to do. Can a project like Bharatjan catalyze a use case which can really help, help them in critical situations of healthcare? Can it catalyze education at large in a person sitting in somewhere in a closed door in Tankashi, right? Or Coimbatore, right? Which is very, very remote, right? They don't even have, probably, roofs in their house. But again, can we catalyze education for them, right? Can the agriculturist, know beforehand what's going to come? How can he be prepared, right? And we can guarantee food safety. I think these are the projects, or these are the use cases, and many more can be catalyzed, by Bharatjan. And that's the reason I say it's all about growth of the country, safety of the country, and impact for all Janmanas in the country. That's all.
Thank you. Thank you, both of you, for answering this broad-based question in a wonderful manner. Let me now move on to the faculty, consortium faculty. So my question to Professor Arnab Bhattacharya would be, the consortium model is distributed across IITs, IIITs, IIM and laboratories. So how does this help India not only with the Indic languages but also with achieving strong foundational models and cultivating research talent at scale?
Thank you. So first of all, thanks for making this panel and to all the panelists and the attendees. So the question that I look at it is, we all understand how AI is important for India. It has been made. And Bharat Gen, we had this one goal in mind from the very beginning, that we are a consortium, right? We can do only what a consortium of 10 members or 10 institutions can do. But the question that is in front of us is much bigger, is that what India as a country can do. Therefore, the question is more of having an AI ecosystem in the country. So it is not just us, it is not just a couple of IITs or a couple of IIITs and IIMs. This AI has to be pervaded across all the educational institutes in India. Everyone has to feel that they can contribute to this AI mission. And coming to this Indian languages point specifically, Indian languages are underrepresented still in the AI space. There are multiple reasons for it. One of the reasons that I see is that our education is all in English, and we are all very comfortable in English. We are all speaking in English because we can speak English, you can learn English. This is the educated level. But more than 90%, I think about 95% of India is not comfortable with English. Therefore, if we have to make sure that AI is successful in India, Indian languages is a no-brainer. There is just no way you cannot not have Indian languages. And the question, again, I would expand it to not just India. Many countries of the world, and I know from personal experience, are looking up to India for this thing, that can we break this English barrier? Can we break this European language barrier for AI, especially for generative AI? Indian languages, India is a land of so many languages, and if it is successful in India, it will be successful across the world. And therefore, that will lead definitely to this whole enablement of Gen AI. Really, it will go to the masses, not just in India, for also. So, Bharat Gen, just to summarize, is to build an ecosystem. Of course, we will have our own models, we will have our own deliverables, etc. But AI as a technology, as a system, should go to every Indian. That's the motto. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. Now let me move to Professor Ravi Kiran. Sir, we know BharatGen is being built over, as a layered platform. And from data repositories to training pipelines to evaluation and APIs. So my question is, which layer do you see as the most decisive for ensuring usable national infrastructure?
Well, I think Ekta ji has chosen the most hardest question for me. I would say all of them. And the reason is that each layer has its own importance. So if we look at the foundation, so think of it just as in a building, like if we were to ask, we might live in the top floor of that building, but the foundation matters. So in the same way, the work that we are doing at BharatGen, I see as building that foundation, and the deeper and broader the foundation, the larger the building that can be built. So therefore, our goal is to keep this in mind when we are building out these technologies. And in some sense, I see it also as a responsibility. Now, of course, it's not enough to just build the foundation. You also need to have something which proves that the foundation makes sense, right? That it is strong enough. Therefore, we are not stopping at just building this foundation of building these foundation models and so on. We are also developing a set of focused applications. And I think Rishiji spoke about it earlier, right? So focused applications which are targeting specific sectors such as education, finance, legal, healthcare, and so on. So both of these things, I think, go hand in hand, and they reinforce each other because one informs the other, and we will know from the way the applications are performing what to do to make it a stronger foundation and what should go into the foundation so that we can cover many more sectors.
Thank you. I think you answered the question in a very comprehensive manner. Thanks for this explanation. Let me now move forward to the industry perspective. Mr. Jay Krishnan, can you just tell us how BharatGen initiatives can unlock value for India in achieving the goals of Viksit Bharat 2047?
So, well, thank you for getting us on the panel. It's a great panel. So I look at it two perspectives. One is unlocking productivity, and second is the empowerment. So when I say unlocking productivity, so productivity is not everything, right? But in the long run, it is everything. What you have seen within IBM, for example, we have last 2 years, we have unlocked productivity close to 4.5 billion using Gen AI. Now, if I look at the scale, what BharatGen is doing at national scale, right? Building models which are kind of context grounded for different industries, culturally sensitive. I think it can be an enormous, value add to unlock value. So it's, productivity in this case, it's not only about efficiencies or cost savings. Once you get there, you can actually use that to create new investment cycles, which will be huge, like self-sustaining cycles. So I see the Agri-Param, which BharatGen has put out there, is in the right direction. Like, for example, we have close to 18% of GDP, I believe, in agriculture, and more than 40% of the citizens are involved. But the yield efficiencies are very low, right? So imagine you have a context-grounded model which understands the packages of practices, so that, for example, a farmer in Maharashtra is able to really work and find a way to save crops from pests. So all these are potential possibilities. So that's the whole thing around productivity. Second is empowerment. Again, that's something, not very tangible, but this is going to unlock all the shackles. Be it a student or a farmer, anybody can be empowered to do the task, leveraging the AI, Gen AI and the AI agents. So that's the kind of VIC. And if you look at industry-wise impact, be it in healthcare, be it agriculture, this is going to be a key kind of door opener to unlock value for India. So we are happy to collaborate with BharatGen. We are doing open innovation across the AI value chain with BharatGen to help them accelerate this whole thing along with different solution templates?
Well, thank you for this very upcoming approach, and we are happy that the BharatGen initiative has helped to integrate the efforts of academia, industry, and R&D labs. So it's really coming out very well, but further coming to the use cases, let me turn my question to Colonel Mehna. Sir, with your vast experience working with the government and especially with the Indian Army, from a strategic perspective, what capabilities should BharatGen prioritize? Should it be multilingual intelligence triage? Should it be provenance in communications or synthetic data environments, which would be good for secure testing?
Thank you, ma'am, for the invite to the panel, Dr. Deshi. First of all, I see a kind of a sovereign crowd here, so I can speak freely today. We just had a press briefing about, before I go into the question, I'll just give you some background to it. Just about 3 days back, we had a press briefing wherein we told how the AI was specifically used during Op Sindoor. The journey of AI for the Indian Army as such started way back in 2019, but the seriousness of the AI per se hit us as late as about 2 years back when we saw the reality of AI, whether it was in the Ukraine conflict, whether the Israeli war, and that is when we realized that yes, AI is changing the domain of warfare altogether today. Whether it was Project Lavender of the Israelis, wherein they targeted, specific targets in the Gaza Strip. So that is when we realized the power of the AI, which is now changing the domain. And from there, the seriousness started on how to have the AI being inducted for all ops of war. There were a lot of discussions specifically dealing to the sovereignty of all the AI models and the large language models as such. So there were huge debates within our own circles whether we need to go and adopt whatever is available in the world today, whether it is a 70 billion parameter model or whether it is a 253 billion parameter model, or is it the time now to move ahead and have our own military specific LLM. And after a lot of discussions and debates, and obviously the lessons learned over a period of time, it was decided that yes, we need to go the military specific LLM. And therefore a challenge was thrown last year as part of the IDEX Aditi 2.0, and we have started the journey towards the military specific LLM as such. And very soon, another 6 months or so, we will see the military specific LLM, because that was the need of the hour at that point in time, wherein decision making, specifically in the military context, is very critical. It can't be, reliance on a foreign model, which might have model poisoning, which might have data poisoning. We do not know the veracity of the data on which it has been trained. And therefore, at the critical junctions of military decision making, it might not suit us, or it might give us some kind of biases. And therefore, the requirement was to have a very specific military LLM, and the journey has started on that. Now, coming to the specific question of, multilingual triage or provenance in governance or the synthetic data, all three are equally important. But if I have to prioritize, the first and foremost is the data sets. What data sets are available in the open domain in the civil street are not relevant to military. We have very specific data sets requirement, and which we have realized. Just to give an example, if I have to detect a tank of the adversary, I don't find tanks moving around, across the borders. It's once in blue moon or maybe never, if the adversary is really worth his salt. So how do I train, say, a YOLO model or a CV model to detect a tank? So I need to have some kind of synthetic data creation. But even if the synthetic data is created, there are various scenarios thanks to the rich diversity of geography of a country. We have a desert scenario, we have a mountainous scenario, we have a jungle scenario. How do I train a model in one particular scenario to even function for the second one? So therefore, I need to have some kind of simulated environments against these synthetic data sets to create such scenarios that the models are trained with reliability, with veracity, and with some efficacy to function in a real world scenario also. So therefore, for me, the most prominent part is the synthetic data pillar which we need to have within our ecosystem because of the peculiarities of the military decision making and the military data context. Then obviously the second part is the provenance and governance. We need to know, what kind of data, what was the source of the data, what is the integrity of the data, what is the reliability of the data, because they are going to finally make the decisions for us. And any bias in a decision can, alter there are no runners up. So, as we are all aware. And the third, multilingual in our aspect is not very relevant. Yes, maybe in some particular use cases, wherein we might need some language translators, maybe Pashto, maybe Mandarin, maybe various dialects of Mandarin, maybe various dialects of Pashto. So those kind of simple use cases are what we are looking at. So I would rate that this is how we would look forward to now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for this elaborative answer and also telling us the perspective of the Indian Army about the use cases of BharatGen. Moving further with the strategic and security perspective, I would like to ask Mr. Ankit Bose to answer this question. From the industry side, sir, how do you see defense and strategic requirements shaping innovation pathways in a broader AI ecosystem?
So, from a strategic perspective, right? So we are talking about 8% GDP of the country, right? Which is contributed by the tech companies. So if we see, most of that comes from services, right? Services which are basically driven by open source sort of initiatives, right? So we have Kubernetes in the cloud world, right? We have Red Hat Linux and other Linux in the cloud world, and various other tools which are delivered as a service, right? Now that's one element. The other element is that the services and the nature of the whole services and the SDLC is changing completely. Okay, so when I say changing completely, when probably 2 years back we needed 200, 300 people for a project, but the same project can be delivered by 20 people, right? Effectively and very optimized way, right? So we are talking about essentially 30 million engineers who are working in this industry, right? And 2.5 lakh engineers generated every year. We're talking about safety, security of them, right? And the 8% GDP. So as I think BharatGen and AI overall is shaping all of this, we have to be very cognizant that how we shape our technology deliverable capabilities, right? Again, that's one part. Again, in that, I will go two segments, right? One segment is the bigger companies who are there, right? The bigger companies like Infosys, Wipro, TCS, they are self-capable to handle this change, right? The 8% GDP is being supported largely by 12,000 technical SME. These are small and medium enterprises. So they are between 20 CR to probably 500 CR at large, right? And all of these are, small companies who are delivering services and development projects across the globe. So with the change of the whole landscape and how this, the service delivery development is going to change, they have to adopt. So I think BharatGen can be one of the catalyzers, right? And then we have to really think how these services companies really reinvent. Otherwise, they will get wiped off, we will not even know, right? And this will happen slowly, right? I'll give you an example. One of the companies, SME companies around 200, 300 CR we're working with, they used to develop certain product for a healthcare company in US, right? Now they started with adding layers of Gen AI. When he started adding layers of Gen AI, it was quality and optimization. But at certain point after a year, they said, why do I need 100 people? I can deliver this with 10 people. Why? So re-optimize those 90 people, right? Again, see the change. Initially it was value add. Now it came to, renegotiating the total value of the deal, and then potentially the whole business going down. And similarly, this can be multiplied by 12,000 SMEs, which are contributing 8% GDP. So I think one is the personals, the supply of the people in country, which are engineers. Second is business and the GDP brought into country from these service companies. I think that's very, very fundamental, and we have to work on that layer, right? That's this element. But other than that, I think the major part I see is, which we have been laggard, is the product, right, and the innovation. So now, if you see in the Bay Area or the global world, right, within last 1 year, there are around, I think, 12 to 15 unicorns which were formulated within a year's time, right? OpenAI was not a unicorn 3 years back or 2.5 years back, right? Similarly, Replit was not a unicorn, right? Similarly, there are so many companies who are not a unicorn. So when they become unicorn, a substantial growth happens in the whole country, right, in the industry. So that is something what we are missing. So AI, BharatJan can really catalyze that. So we can get the next OpenAI from IIT Bombay, right? We can definitely see that humongous growth, innovation happening in India through such projects. I think from that perspective, I think this is very strategic, Ektaji. I think, yeah.
Thank you for this, vision for BharatJen from the industry's perspective. So as we all know, my question to Rishi ji would be, BharatJen has been extensively supported with the whole of government approach with DST and METI, funding provided to BharatJen. So by 2030, if I ask from a layman's perspective, what single visible change should tell the citizens of India and the institutions that AI is really working for me in India?
Excellent question. And I'll maybe start, Ektaji, with, I think to take a step back, I look at the need, when I look at 2030, we've talked a little bit about ecosystems, we've talked about industry, we've talked about military. What's really important is by 2030 that we have the entire ecosystem from all the way from entrepreneurship to the application delivery really humming across the country, right? And let me just take that example of, the start of this, which is entrepreneurship and bold risk-taking capital. The genesis of BharatJen itself is at a moment of time when nobody believed that we could actually build this type of sovereign AI in India. I think the Department of Science and Technology under NMICPS actually took a very bold bet on saying that no, we believe that this work can be done in India, that we can put together a consortium of people across academia and industry and actually come together and deliver something like this. Shortly after we started this work, there was Sam Altman of OpenAI was in Delhi, and he proudly, he was asked the question about whether India should be building foundational models. And I think some of you may know that he was like, no, I don't think India should be in this business, right? Shortly thereafter, there was also a very prominent person from, the software industry who was asked the same question, and he said, we should focus on applications. A few people called me up, friends, and he said, Rishi, tum kya kar rahe ho? Sam Altman is on stage saying we can't build AI in India. I think that bold vision and self-belief is one of the fundamental things that we should see changed by 2030. In that creation economy, in the venture economy, in the entrepreneurship economy, we should see that bold vision that we have seen over here being translated across the board. The other thing is at the very other end of it is where the applications of AI touch citizens. And every citizen's phone should have applications, AI applications that that are literally permeating every aspect of what they do. So when they want to interact with the government, that ability to just pick up a phone and say, "Okay, bhai, mujhe LPG gas ka connection nahi mil raha hai," right? And this is some work that we did with DARPG right here in Delhi, where you should just be able to say, "I have a problem with this. I need help." And that ability for any citizen to access government, as an example, very, very trivially, just in the way that we are used to doing it. Just pick up your phone and speak into it. That's one example. The idea that, and maybe I'm skipping ahead here, but the idea that every student should have in their pocket a personal tutor by 2030, where no matter which corner of the country you are in, right, there is a personal tutor that understands what your skill level is and is able to actually teach you in a way that you understand. That is the promise of AI, to be truly transformational and truly accessible to every citizen of India. And I think that's the type of work that we need to do to know that AI is being successful.
Wonderful. I think you summed it very nicely. This is actually the vision of the Department of Science and Technology under the able leadership of our Secretary, Sir, Professor Abhay Karandikar. He is also amidst us today, and thank you, sir, for joining us. I would just like to close the discussion. We have limited time, but I think the panel discussion has rightly summed up the following points. So what comes through clearly is that BharatGen is not only building models, but it's also about creating sovereign infrastructure, sectoral transformation, and getting ready the future talent pool. With the leadership from DST and MIT, and with more upcoming whole of government approach, supporting BharatGen to develop the first indigenous large language model, multimodal and multilingual both, and with academia, industry, and strategic stakeholders working together in this consortium, I think BharatGen can set a global benchmark for democratic AI development. I thank all panelists for joining us for this panel discussion. If there are any quick one or two questions, we can have it from the people, delegates present here. Please, yeah. Can he be provided with a mic?
Hello. Good afternoon, everyone and panelists. My question is from Sir Arnab Bhattacharya. Question is, I have made a final year project which was on speech to text. As we all know that AI models keep on evolving and we need to learn it continuously in order to make the further models. And because my model was on Mathli, which is a language which is spoken in Bihar, so data set was lacking. ISC Bangalore and other colleges or universities have come up with data, but still we lack data. So my question or request to BharatGen will be, can we make something like a handheld device which has a Bluetooth in it? I'm saying this because like we have Alexa, we can make apps like OpenAI, but people will not be able to use. By people I mean those who are above 50 years of age.
So for data collection, right?
For data collection, yeah, because that would be the easiest way to collect data rather than going to them and asking for data.
In fact, yeah, that is a very good point. And I think that is a very good suggestion as well, that we should have this very easy enablements where people can voluntarily contribute to data. And there should be a way of checking that this data is sanitized enough, good enough, quality-wise, etc. But this will also enable quick collection of data. I think it's a very important point, yes. Thank you, yeah.
So will I be assured that BharatGen is going to make something?
We will definitely work on this. This is a very good suggestion, yes.
Thank you, sir.
very quickly, I don't know whether it got covered or not. So we are making LLMs for Indian languages, right?
Yeah.
But if we keep the data sovereignty in mind, that our data should stay within India and all that, so what about creating LLMs like OpenAI out of India? Maybe only one because it's very expensive, GPUs are needed, but something, if some company feels, no, my data shouldn't go out, they can use that particular LLM to run their AI applications or whatever. So what is the panel's thoughts on that?
Thank you for that question. Absolutely. LLM building, if I look at the whole supply chain here, right? I mean, there was a question earlier about the data part of it, right? That's one part of it, is how do we collect the right data? There's another part of it, which is how do we build the foundational models on top of it? There's another part of it, which is how do you create the services for both, for government, for businesses and consumers that are actually created and hosted locally, so that our citizens can deal with our, with our own AI, which is hosted locally on local data center providers, and so that you get that data ecosystem needs to be going within India. And one of the things that maybe I'll add on there is it's really important in this phase of AI in India that we make sure that we have a nursery where you can actually incubate and grow all of these AI programs, right? Because on one hand, you have sort of the American model where there's a massive amount of capital, right, that is flooding and subsidizing the creation of AI. The other hand, you have the China model, which has the government support, right, and a closed, relatively closed ecosystem for players. We have to come up with India's answer to that also, so that we actually have a place where we can incubate our own industry, so that it can then thrive and compete in the world as well. And we've done this in the past with other industries, right? But it's really important that we do it here. I'll give you an example, right? We used to have our own, India for the longest time had its own automobile industry, truck making industry. Today, Indian truck companies are buying global truck companies, right? Recent acquisition, because you can create a thriving ecosystem, right? But if you don't have that initial ecosystem started, I think that will be definitely a challenge for us in India.
Now, when you're saying data applications and all that, there the data remains within India in Indian data centers, right? But in the LLMs also, there have been cases across the world that some Samsung employee inputted something in OpenAI and the whole world was seeing, and then there was an issue. So somebody sitting in India could use OpenAI and put some Indian data into the algorithm. So how to avoid that? So then the data sovereignty part again becomes a question mark. So how can there be totally Indian LLM which is all languages including English, and enterprise can use it and be safe that okay, my data is not going anywhere?
That is absolutely, and maybe I can elaborate on that. That is absolutely the vision, is for an all-Indian LLM, right? And I'll tell you how far back into the supply chain it goes, right? Take BharatGen, for example. We are procuring data locally. We actually have a team on the ground, and we didn't have enough time to talk about it today, but we actually have a team on the ground that is actually reaching out to different entities, publishers, radio stations to acquire data, right? It starts from there. We are building these LLMs and model architecture in India on Indian data centers, right? So providers like Yota and NESA and others are providing the local infrastructure. They are also providing the inference infrastructure. So now we have to keep progressing down that path to create an Indian version of a ChatGPT, which will be also hosted locally, so that the data stays within that ecosystem. Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
I'll
With
just add
this,
one
Oh,
two
sure,
lines
sir.
to that, right? So your worries about data going out, right? But you have to think larger, right? First point is, building that engine, right? Which can catalyze future AI, AGI of the world, right? Where does our jet engine come from? Leave jet engine. Where does our engine from a motorbike come from? It's not local. The IP relies somewhere else, right? So building that IP is very important, right? The second is, that data, what we have in our languages, right? Ethical languages, is not the language. It's a culture, right? why do we still don't know the kings of Chola dynasty, the kings of various different dynasties were there? We don't know that because that was never taught to us. Being present in the digital footprint, our culture, our historic element, right, our ethnicity is very important. So though we have to build those inherent engine which can give the ROI, we also have to be present there, right? The third part is very important, right? Building that capacity, capability in India, right? Byte by byte, as you said, right? We have to build Indian LLM which is not having data poisoning, which is not having a lot of issues which can arise, which is the code is not known. So building the capacity byte by byte is very important, right? And this is base camp, right? We have a lot of fight to fight. So AI journey in the globe has just started. So we have to build those capacity and it will slowly grow. We cannot be worried about one problem, that is what you said, right? Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks a lot. And thank you all the panelists for such an insightful and engaging session. Today, we are deeply honored to have our chief guest, Professor Abhay Karandikar, Secretary, Department of Science and Technology, at the summit. Professor Karandikar has been instrumental in steering DST various missions and programs, including NMICPS, with a clear focus on Atmanirbharta in science and technology. With this, I request Dr. Ekta Kapoor to kindly facilitate Sir in welcoming on the dais, please. Welcome you, Sir. Please welcome our chief guest, Professor Karandikar, with a huge round of applause. Now, as a token of appreciation, sir, I request you to kindly honor our panelists with a memento. I would like to welcome Colonel Amit Mehna, and a big round of applause for Shri Ankit Bose, Head NASCOM. Thank you very much, sir. Sri Rishi Bal, Executive Vice President Bharat Jain. Professor Ravi Kiran, PI of Bharat Jain. Professor Sri Jai Krishna Hari, IBM India. Please welcome them. Professor Arnab Bhattacharya, PI of Bharat Jain. And Dr. Ekta Kapoor, moderator of the panel discussion. Yeah, please give them a huge round of applause. Thank you very much. All the DST officer may also join. Sir, one photo. Yeah, DST officer, may please come on the dais for the group photograph. Sir, please, may we have the Thank you, distinguished guests, panelists, and all the audience for attending this session, and looking forward for more success stories from Bharat Jain team. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you.